Hello, welcome to the Endgame guide for No Rest for the Wicked. Now the guide itself is going to actually be a lot longer, but I'm going to make the best points I can, and I'm also not going to bother with details that don't really matter that much. So, Endgame is based around 5 things. Number 1, Pestilence runs. They only appear at the main campaign ending. You get rare materials to max out some stats and make your equipment better. Number 2 is buying items every day to get enchantments on your gear. Basically, you have to buy items and then enchant them for a chance to have 5 enchantments on all items. At 5 enchantments, you also get a negative, but that's not so bad considering. You can also use fallen embers to get the stats, get the bonuses you want. And this is going to be a little bit tricky because you need about 150 fallen embers for a build. But you also want to buy a lot of food, especially to craft the endgame healing food and some other stuff. We'll detail all of this in a bit. You also need to make a lot of Crucible runs for a chance to get good loot, maybe unlock some unique items and some other stuff. You can get unique items like, I got a sword, a special katana or unique katana 2 times, I only finished the Crucible once. It's very hard, and you also can get a teleporter for your house so you can link into the main teleporting areas, I'll show you in a second. And some other materials and some other bits and pieces, but mostly you need the Crucible runs for the utility, sort of speaking, and also for a chance to get the best items. Because if you just do the quests, they will finish and you don't have a chance to get endgame items anyway. Now, number 4 is more or less based around getting all of the inventory slots unlocked with the Plague Ichor. This one is especially brutal because you can only do it day by day, you cannot get it all at once, sadly. And tip number 5 is making the house have more utility, but also using it to cook. So I'm over here in the Crucible, and you need to unlock this option over here to reset your stat bonuses, or to just reset your stats. Basically, you can put from strength to stamina, let's say, or from health to strength. Depends on what you like, but as a general note, you probably want to have only 26 and 26 and then just put on the other stats. Okay. I don't know, I just went with the... You can go for more damage, but I just like to go for more utility overall, so that's why I have more weight capacity, more health, more stamina, more focus. If you just insist too much on the attack stats, you'll find yourself kind of annoyed by the fact that some fights will be longer, or that you die more often. This is the player house, but this is not the important one. Let's talk about the first point, which is the Pestilence run. The Pestilence run will only appear after you finish the main campaign, which is going to Kaylan, and, well, thing with the magical that the city is infested by a flying brood. The Pestilence runs are a bit annoying because you basically have to kill all of the enemies, and I mean it, almost all of the enemies in a particular area, and then a big boss will appear, and that boss is kind of strong. A very big note over here is that I don't recommend you kill the Crucible boss before you farm at least 5 or 6 or 10 Pestilences. Because after you kill the Crucible boss will appear as a Pestilence boss, and he's so much harder to kill than the other bosses. That's kind of annoying. And after you do those, you'll get materials, and you can also swap out some materials, so let's go to the Rookery. Also completed all of the city projects, and that's your first task will be to complete all of the shops to their max level. But again, this is the end game, so we'll not speak about that stuff. That stuff is for early game.
Your true armor is your will.
We'll speak about that in a bit. And I guess another problem with the gameplay itself is that you need to go through a lot of hoops, and yeah, it's really hard to get a good item build. Mostly because you need to be... how should I put it? You need to go well beyond 50 hours of gameplay, which means the game is about 15-20 hours at best, and then you just play double that amount by doing stuff like this.
Time.
Okay, so the Pestilence runs. They'll give you items to upgrade your equipment to the max level. Max level is 16. So I think you can upgrade items about to level 12 before they start requiring pestilence items. The pestilence items are the claws, the marrow, the sinew, thorn, husk, thorn, everything that has thorn in it, and you can also trade them. So you can trade the thorn marrow for the thorn husk, the sinew for the marrow, the stuff for the effigy. And then you can also use these items over here. So you don't just use them to upgrade the item level, you can use them to exalt an item, which means you max out a stat or a bonus. So let's say indestructible is also just indestructible. And the gloves. So if you have the gloves, let's say 10% physical damage, you can increase it to the max, which is 25. Or if you have over here, as you can see, movement speed increased by 13% for 5 seconds, 15%. Sometimes it's not worth exalting the items, but sometimes if you roll very low, for example over here, I think I had about 20% burn damage, it's worth it to increase it to 50%. Or, as you can see, damage taken decreased by 50% for 6 seconds. This is 40, this will be 50, so sometimes it's not worth trying to max out that thing. But you really need to do this in order to get the best effects. So for example, the rings. Having a 25% armor increase ring is amazing. Having a shield that deals 20% damage on block is also amazing. So as you can see, you can also exalt the gems. And that's, I think, a husk. It's a husk, I have the marrow, I'll trade for that. Then we'll exalt. And then we'll max out even the gem on the shield, because everything is a variable value. So now that's how you do it for the endgame stuff. Now let's go to tip number 2, buying every day the items you need. Also go through some of the merchants, because that's the only way to do it where you don't go crazy. You have to buy everyday items and just try and enchant them so you can get 5 enchantments, and then you start working on them with the fallen embers, which will modify, let's say, a certain stat. So you click, well, I guess I should show this very carefully because I didn't understand it in the beginning. You need to have it in your inventory, you need to press F to use, you click on it, and then you select the one you want to replace. If you have, let's say, 2 out of 5, you can just add more stuff over here. But sadly, it's kind of a messy game because certain items are hard-coded to have a certain stat over a certain bonus over there anyway. For example, you cannot get the best bonuses on a single item, you just get what that item has available from a pool of bonuses. I guess it's harder to explain, but if you want to remember the basic stuff, for example, the gloves can give physical damage. The gloves always have physical damage. The boots or the pants will get some movement speed and some damage based on movement speed or sprinting bonuses. The helmet will get, as you can see, more health, some hit damage or some other type of damage. Same for the armor. Don't expect to get burn damage increased by 50% on the gloves or increase physical damage by 25% on the armor. There are a lot of hard-coded stuff into the game, which is kind of hard to explain because you need to waste all of your fallen embers to see the stats. But usually when you roll a stat, it kind of goes from a choice of 10 possible perks.
Looking a bit ragged, I'd say. Time.
So, what I usually would do is I would buy all of the items that fit my weight category. Every day I would buy the best items, for example the Eversoul Knight armor. I would buy them, let's buy the armor, let's say. Remember to upgrade your items over here. By the way, it's not really worth upgrading everything because as you can see you need a lot of materials, so I need to do more of the pestilence runs. So I can have my equipment up to level 16. I only recommend you do this for items that have 5 enchantments. Don't upgrade items that have 3 enchantments, even though they seem like they are worth it. Also you can use the shops to craft endgame materials.
These are my scissors. No, these are my scissors.
So let's take the refined items back. And then I would go,
All
we'll
weapon
speak about this merchant in a second.
for my enterprise.
Good day.
Buy the weapons I could buy or I could use, depends on your build, if you want a bow or a staff or fist weapon.
May your will be half as strong as my work.
And then you have to go to the enchantment shop. It's a bit of an annoying phase because you basically have to go through this all day and all the time you're going to get unlucky most of the times. And you just enchantments, so as you can see it's a 3 out of 3. Sometimes you don't even get free enchantments. Ooh, wow. Max health increased by 10%, that's glorious. Probably it's max health increased by 20% if you go... Yeah, see, sometimes you get good stuff, sometimes you get bad stuff. I really wish I had that on my armor as well. I guess I have to re-roll those bonuses, but like I said, they're hard-coded, so I don't think I can get max health increased on this armor, because... I don't know, it seems like there is some hard-coded stuff in the background that I'm not sure how it works. Probably certain armors can get certain bonuses, but not all of the armors can get all of the bonuses. And then you have to infuse it with a gem, let's say, and that's basically on your choice. I'll not go into the gems because that's something you can do in the beginning of the game. You enchant it, if it has 5 slots, you infuse it with a gem, and then you start putting the runes. If you put the runes, you cannot take them out. If you take out the runes, you'll destroy the item. I did that and I was so sorry. So usually you'll want to think really hard before you put runes into something. This is basically point number 2. Now you can also do the, like I said, in point number 3 is related to the Crucible runs. Point number 4 was getting all of the inventory slots unlocked to the Plague Ichor. Let's go to the other merchants.
Fresh way to live it. Good to see you back.
This is also one of the most important items that you can buy from merchants. So this merchant over here is kind of like the miscellaneous merchant. As you can see, you can buy various materials. Depends on what you want to craft, depends on what you have recipes for. You will also have a ring every day, which is great. You'll also have some rare materials, which is great. You'll also have gems, which the lifesteal one is super rare. You also have, yeah, that's nice, Scale and Scholar Armor set. You can also just buy up, I also recommend you buy the Fallen Embers. You can buy complete armor sets for him, but it's random, but it's great when you can buy it.
Everything is a price. Every man is a cost.
Yeah. And then you also have to buy every day all of the food items, which is a bit annoying, but trust me, it's the only way to actually get ahead in the game without wasting too much time. So I like to buy the meat, apples, potatoes, the herbs, the little herbs. Horseshoe crabs are very important as well. I guess I should buy all of the fish as well, since I don't really fish. Tomatoes are also, basically buy everything, I guess. Because you don't have anything else to waste your money on, since you cannot buy most of the gear anyway. I'm also starting to buy all of these items as well. As you can see, I just have too much money, I don't have anything to spend it on, so I guess it's just easier to buy everything. So I don't farm, because I'll be using a lot of Hellfire, a lot of healing items while doing the Pestilence runs and some other ones. You might be thinking, well, why don't you just make a build that doesn't use healing items? Well, I tried so much to have one, but it's not as easy as it sounds or as easy as it looks.
Is your faith stronger than a
So let's go back to the house. Actually, let's
The ocean wants
speak about this thing over here. Now, if you don't want to do all of this stuff, you can simply log in every day and accept all of the bounty quests and do them. Sometimes you actually have a chance of getting a very good item. So let me see. Yeah, these ones are not really worth doing. You can also preview the rewards. See? And look at this. You want basically your armor to have armor increased by 11%, and then you can exile the items to have 20% increase of armor. So that's actually great. Even if you are, let's say, a heavy knight, this will be good. And you can actually leave it as it is. Or you can change the other two bonuses with Fallen Embers, and you can just make an semi-endgame build by just getting the rewards from the daily bounties. You also get experience, you also get money, so if you don't want any hassle, by the way, the amount of money you get is pitiful. You get a lot more money by selling the items, so let's make a little math. Let's do some math. So that's 3, let's say it's 4. get about 4 silver, and if you, let's say you get 4.5, you get 8 silver if you do this quest, which is a lot of money for the beginning of the game, which will be very, very useful. Or even the end game, it's quite a good amount of money. Deal 7% damage on damage taken, interesting. I guess you just have to look at all of the possible options, and you also have the daily challenges over here, which are kind of annoying because killing plagued with halberds don't even bother, it's too annoying and too hard. Sometimes if the rewards are worth it, you can do it. I also don't recommend you do the patrolling because it can be really annoying to do. Sometimes you'll just finish the map on 90%. You need to have a very good understanding of how the game works and where are the hidden areas, and you unlock all of the shortcuts for that. Upgrade the armors is pretty easy, but it's kind of resource consuming, so if you don't have any good rewards, just don't do them. The weekly stuff can also be surprisingly good or surprisingly bad, or laughably bad. Okay, so you get a wilding coat, level 13, usually it's level 12, and it has pretty good stats. I guess in this case it will be worth it. Not sure what the entitlements are, I guess they're not in the game yet. Also, over here, see? Complete 5 builder projects. I'm not sure how you're supposed to complete this after you complete all of the other projects. I'm not sure. I think they count also for the Crucible projects, and if you get the Crucible project, finish all constructions in the city, it might count. I'm not sure. And over here, yeah, as you can see, the rewards are not really that good, but if you do all of... Oh, wow. 12? That's a lot. So, if you do all of the weekly stuff and the daily stuff and the bounties, that's basically all of the money you'll ever need. So, I recommend you do this every day. But if there's nothing you like to do,
If not, do it for...
then you can just go and focus on the Pestilence stuff. But also take the quest because they might be in the same area as the Pestilence. A very, very important note, if you want to remove the Pestilence from an area, you have to go to the Crucible and use an upgrade to the shopkeeper, I think. And once the Pestilence is cleared, then you can do the bounties and the quest. You cannot do them while the Pestilence is on the area, because the boss or the quest, the bounty or the challenge doesn't appear unless the Pestilence is removed. This is a bit of a restrictive thing because, yeah, Pestilence means no daily quest or bounties, but you get endgame resources.
At least Sacrament has a good man at its helm.
Also prepared a new hammer. As you can see, this is level 16, but the rolls on it are not that good. So this one, as you can see, has attack speed based on durability, focus on fatality, health on kill. I think kill and fatality are the same thing, but I don't know what the developers are thinking. Movement speed increased after a rune attack. Not sure if it requires to be a rune attack or just a rune use. Other stuff is not really explained. But I guess you can just test it out more. So over here in the house, what you need for the house? Well, I recommend you have the smelters and the other stuff. I recommend you get the best ones. Don't even bother with the basic ones, just get the fine ones. Guys, you can just use the shop ones until you have enough in your house. Hey. Don't worry about it, just transform every material you have. I guess I should mention this, you really need a bed. You get a bonus, but as you can see the bonus dissipates too quickly. And these are the items I can craft. So the bed is a bonus if you sleep in it before you log out. But you can also just make some clay pots or some of the cosmetic stuff like the red carpet with... Oh, that's creepy. Some of the chairs and some of the other stuff. And over here at the anvil, you can craft your armors, but to be honest, it's not worth it. And I'll show you why. So for example, the ball and knight armor, which looks good, this is the helmet, you know, the armor set, looks good, has good stats, it starts at level 11. By the way, some of the items will start at lower levels, which will annoy people to no end. But as you can see, to craft a single item you need 4 bear paws, or for the gloves, bear hearts. The pants, bear paws as well, bear scalps for the helmet. Super expensive, so with all of my materials, well, I guess I can make 6 helmets or 3 armor sets. And then I can try and enchant them, and if it gets 5 enchantment slots, then I have to use the Fallen Ember, and then I have to use a gem, and then I have to exalt the stats, and then I have to level up to 16. It's such a massive undertaking. So I'm not sure if it's worth it unless you get a very good crafting item very early on. And also the weapons themselves have levels, so it's a big difference on some of these items. For example, yeah, the Sunbeam. So if you craft a weapon, let's say at level 3, it's not going to be useful to you because you need to upgrade it. But some items start at level 11. So the Sunbeam, two-handed curved sword, as you can see, does a ton of damage, and if you upgrade it, you can probably get 300 damage easily. But as you can see, it needs bigger upgrade materials. And I guess you also need the Winged Brute Skull, so it can be very hard and tricky to craft some of these items. And if you enchant it, and if it doesn't get 5 slots, 5 enchantment slots, then it's kind of useless. Emerald Talons, no, these talons are not bad either. Waldex, Ash Suit Daggers. Interesting. Sun Scorn. Really, I don't think you can... Well, I guess you see they have a rune. Some of them will have a good rune to start off with. Let me see... Yeah. We have the Kalen set unlocked for today. Armor Eggs, Ear Wraps, Kalen... Yeah. I guess they start at level 6, so it's kind of weird that they have different levels. So I guess the Steel Robe is better in a way. You have to look at the stats and some of the other stuff. Plus the materials required to craft them. Okay, now let me show you for the end of the video, let me show some of the items I obtained. Well, I guess the stuff doesn't really matter. Just keeping everything with 5 enchantments. Maybe I'll use them later. So these are some of the unique items I have. The unique items are mostly differentiated by the fact that they have all of the runes slotted already. Also, you cannot change the enchantments, but you can exalt them for sure. So, hit damage and cold damage can be increased, and you have a fire arrow and an ice arrow with this bow, which can be amazing. You can use a one-handed weapon with a bow, and you can have a lot of fun with it, a lot of fun builds. There are also a lot of hammers. I guess I should show you this as well, because it's very, very important. And you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between a hammer and another hammer? Oh, it's massive in my opinion, because they have different attack patterns. And this is what it's never explained to you. So this is what you would call kind of like a mid-range hammer. As you can see, it has a lot of attacks, it's very fast, it does a lot of damage. As opposed to this hammer, which is more or less like a one-hit weapon, because it uses a lot of stamina and it rolls forward. Plus it can do a charge attack. This weapon cannot do a charge attack, it can only hit faster. But this is where it gets interesting. I only found one of these hammers, so look at this. This is crazy. The amount of attacks you get with this hammer. The amount of attacks you get with some of the hammers and yeah, it's just hard to describe what it is. I guess you just have to be on the lookout for all of the weapons that you might use, and make sure you upgrade the weapon you like or the weapon you get, because this is not as good as it is with 3 enchantments only. Oh wow, that already has plague damage, interesting. I'll keep all of these. I think I'll just keep the rune ring as well, even though you technically only need one of each, but be careful because you'll have different resistances. Plague, I would say mostly plague resistance is required. Plague is the only thing that I really struggle with. Wind of Death, missing damage increased based on missing health, and you also lose health on damage dealt, so this one is going to be really hard to use. But the Core Smeared Blade is one that you'll see a lot, because you can get it by killing the big enemy. But it's like the boss you see in the beginning of the game. It's a samurai sword. Okay, nice. So this is like the blade from the first boss you fight to enter the city. And it kind of has the same attack pattern. So yeah, the game has its fun moments, its bad moments, but farming is a bit of a tricky situation, a tricky spot. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.